It's Tuesday, and so it's time for another Falcon Focus. The madness of March upon us. And for men's and women's basketball here at Concordia University, Wisconsin, that means the start of the NAC tournament. In segment number 2, we'll talk men's basketball with a junior in Brandon Keller as the Falcons look to defend their NAC tournament championship from that of last season. But first, we talk women's basketball. I'm being joined by Hannah Betcher, one of the Falcon women's basketball seniors. My name is Matt Menzel, and this is episode number 19, number 7, here in semester number 2 for Falcon Focus. And man, the excitement of March here upon us. And how about for you? How excited are you now this week, turning your attention on a season that almost didn't happen,
Right.
and now being prepared for a NAC tournament?
We are so excited just to have our season extended. You know, our goal is to make the conference tournament every year, and this season was so unconventional. We didn't really know how things were going to play out tournament-wise. But we are just so excited that we get to play again on Thursday.
And we'll talk about how you guys were able to get into the NAC tournament. It came down to the final day of the regular season. In fact, one team eliminated thanks to a coin flip. That's how unique this 2021 season has been, a magical coin deciding a team's fate. But take us back to the fall, okay? So started training camp. At that point, you know, there is a schedule out there, but nobody really knows if that schedule is actually going to play out. What was kind of the mood back in the fall getting ready for what could have been?
In the fall, you know, we started practice right away on October 1st, and we knew that things were up in the air in terms of our season. But our focus was just on getting those practices in, you know, 6 days a week, building us up, and just focusing on kind of being optimistic about our season, like being positive, thinking, you know, things are going to happen. And when we do have games, we're going to be prepared because we've been taking time in practice throughout 4 months, actually.
Yeah.
But yeah, just keeping a positive outlook on that and staying true to us.
You mentioned the 4 months because it was practice, 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 and guess what? More practice. I mean, again, Coach Bernard Jones probably is not watching, so be honest. Did practice did that ever get old? I mean, did it get to a point where it got so repetitive that it's like, man, are we ever going to get back to game action?
I think sometimes it was testing. Like, it was testing for us as a team because we're used to playing games, you know, start November, mid-November, I think. So those 4 months of practice, I think, tested us as a team, but also forced us to focus on us, become closer. We don't have a team that we're preparing for right away, you know, so just building the core of Concordia women's basketball. But I think that in a way it was good and bad to have practice for that long. Good because focusing on us, bad because obviously we don't have games right away. But overall, I think prepared us for our season in January.
How about for you personally? What was your focus? What aspects of your game did you really focus on during that training camp process?
That's a good question. I think I just focused on being a senior, trying to be a role model for my teammates, especially our team is kind of balanced with returners and freshmen, so making sure those freshmen felt welcome coming in. Built our close atmosphere as a team, which I think is what we accomplished during those 4 months in general.
And we'll talk about the season in more depth in a second, but I guess piggybacking off that question, so at this point, going into the next tournament, how do you feel, at least from an individual standpoint, your season is gone?
I mean, I think it's going pretty well. I think that my teammates have helped me a lot this season. You know, a lot of perseverance with our unconventional season, starting games in January. But I'm happy with how the season's going for myself and for our team.
And you assisted the first basket of the season for the Falcons way back, that game against Lawrence on January 9th against the Lawrence Dewhawks, and you had the assist on the Cameron Shaliga shot in that contest. I guess, what do you remember about, you know, taking the court, finally game action, back inside the John Book Fieldhouse, and just, again, you know, getting back into, you know, what practice was all about, getting finally prepared for an opponent?
Oh, we were so excited to finally be able to play our first game after 4 months of practice, and especially on our home court. Like, that was great as a senior, like my first home game, and it was amazing. And to come out the way we did and get that victory was huge.
So even with all said, with COVID-19, with the masks, with, you know, socially distanced, with limited number of fans, did it feel different once you took the court, once the game started? Did it have a different feel to it, or you know, after a little bit of time, did it finally, you know, feel like, hey, it's last season all over again, minus maybe all the fans?
Right. I think it started to feel a little normal once we got into the games again, because practice for 4 months definitely did not feel normal. But once we were able to play, kind of got back to normal, and especially because we were allowed fans here, at least a couple, made it seem a little more normal than it had before. But
Well, when you bring up the fans, because I know some schools are not allowing fans. You guys have been in that situation on the
Mm-hmm.
road. How much different has that been? You know, it's being in an empty gym. I'm guessing bleachers in some cases maybe folded in. I mean, how do you get adjusted to that?
It's difficult for sure, playing with just our team versus the other team, no fans or anything. But I think that really brings the focus back to us as a team, focusing on the things we can control. We can't control that we don't have fans now. Like, that's just the rule some places. But just staying true to us. But the fans definitely help. I think one of the things we talked about was senior day and then even our game on Saturday, how our fan section just gave us that little push we needed, and they always support us in everything we do, which is fantastic.
How about in those non-fan games, those road games where there's no fans allowed at all? Where do you turn to? How do you go about finding that energy, especially in a tight situation, tight game down the stretch? Maybe the energy level is lacking a little bit. Where do you turn to then to try to rev up the energy?
We have to turn to each other, and our team has been really good with that, especially like whether people on the court or on the bench, just turning to each other, being like, hey, you got this, like next play. We definitely try and have each other's back on and off the court, and that's helped us when we don't have fans, because in Edgewood, when we go there on Thursday, they're not going to have fans, so we're really going to have to turn to that again.
And that could be a game changer because the Edge Dome, when that place gets loud, look out. But what else has been unique about this 2021 season is, at times COVID-19 does in fact pop up, and whether that be a team directly impacted, whether it be contact tracing, Falcons certainly affected by contact tracing in late January into the first 9-10 days of February. So you guys were on pause. What did that all entail? All of a sudden, you're in game action. Next thing you know, no basketball activity.
Right. We literally played a game the Friday before, and then Saturday we found out we were in quarantine, and obviously we were disappointed. Like, we were looking forward to playing that game on Saturday and throughout the next week. But again, we really turned to each other, which is what we've had to do during this whole COVID experience. So we obviously couldn't practice, but we had Zoom workouts, so everyone would Zoom in. We'd throw a workup up on the computer. And then just trying to keep our bodies moving, so that way when we returned from our quarantine and had games, we were ready, and there was no fallback on that.
But was that, you bring that up, and I remember the first game out of quarantine was here against Edgewood on a Tuesday or Wednesday night, and I remember you only had 1 or 2 practices under your belt, maybe in person since the pause. Did that take a little bit of getting used to again, all of a sudden get your legs back under you and being away from game action for so long?
Right. I think it definitely played some impact, because although we were working out on our own, obviously games are different. But we tried to bounce back from that. We knew we only had a couple days to prepare, but we just went out there, tried to give it our all, and bounce back for the remainder of the season.
Some of the milestones here this season for the Falcon women's basketball team. Head coach Stacey Brunner-Jones picked up her 300th career victory that came in mid-January in what was a non-conference game against MSOE, and then a fellow senior, Clara Chambers, coming through with her 1,000th point on top of becoming the new program record holder for career three-point field goals made. How much fun has it been to be a part of those accomplishments, those milestones, to see this program hit those records?
It has been so fun, and especially considering we didn't know if we were going to have a season or not, just to have Coach and Clara meet those milestones, it's really been an honor to be a part of.
Well, you mentioned it, okay. When you look at this roster breakdown, there's only 3 seniors on the current roster. How close is this group, and how much closer have you guys gotten now, having to deal with all that you've dealt with in the last 6 months or so?
We have definitely gotten closer as a team throughout this whole experience. 4 months of practice brought us so much closer, and then just as the season's progressed, we've just been growing together as a team, both on and off the court, which has been really great.
No question, more memories still to be made, but I guess at this point as a Falcon, what are some of your memories that stick out to date? What are some of the maybe games or performances, whether it's been with you, your teammates, what stands out to you from your time as a Falcon?
Oh, boy. Well, I don't know if I can remember stuff all the way back from my freshman year. So I'll just go off what I remember from this year, but I think definitely our senior day, just having all our family in the stands, having that atmosphere, it finally felt normal. Like, having everyone, we were all so hyped together as a team, and having our families, and then celebrating after, and just taking it all in. Like, wow, I'm a senior. Like, my friends are seniors. Here is our unconventional senior day, but our family is still here. And then definitely our MSOE game on Saturday. That was definitely a test for us, especially after our second quarter, I don't even know how many points we scored, but I don't want to talk about it. But bouncing back in that second half, I think, is going to give us momentum going into tournament time.
You bring up senior day, a great win, a lopsided win against Lake Forest College, and then again back-to-back Saturdays with the victory against MSOE to get into the NAC tournament. I guess going back to your freshman year on to the present, how do you feel maybe your role has changed on this team? Has it changed?
I think it definitely has changed from my senior year. You know, senior year, I was a scared little skinny freshman, and now growing into the player and person that I have become, I think has changed a lot, you know, from being a role player, kind of a practice player, going where they needed me to go my kind of freshman and sophomore year, and then getting more playing time and filling those roles on the court during game time has been a big change for me, and I'm very thankful for that.
And another game day is coming up on Thursday. So right now the Falcons have a record of 9 victories and 5 defeats. I guess, in your opinion, from what you've seen, how would you summarize how the regular season went?
I think our regular season, we had some tough games, but we also had games where we were able to come together and kind of bounce back. You know, we didn't know how many games we were going to have, and then playing, you know, sometimes playing Friday, Saturday is hard, especially when you have a smaller team, but I think that our team handled it very well, and we just, you know, when we would have a loss, we'd focus back on us and pick each other up, and then learn from our victories and our losses. So.
Well, you bring up the Friday, Saturday, the back-to-back. What were some of the challenges playing back-to-back, especially against the same opponent?
Right. I think it was difficult sometimes just like playing them back-to-back because you played them Friday and you know what they're going to do. Maybe they'll throw a wrinkle or two in there, but then playing again on Saturday, like, it's just hard playing the same team twice. Like, you know what they're going to do. They could do something different. It depends how they start the game, how we start the game, runs and everything, and sometimes it's just hard, but can't even complain because we're just thankful to be playing.
Absolutely, and let's recap this past weekend because, again, it was a big weekend, almost a tournament-like atmosphere, at least on Saturday. So Friday, a loss against a red-hot MSOE team that all of a sudden won its 6th consecutive game. They were fighting to get into the tournament as well. They're the victim of a coin flip, costing them a NAC tournament spot thanks to the Fish of Lakeland, the Muskies. But then Saturday, a nice bounce back, knocking off MSOE. I guess, in your opinion, how did you guys get it done on Saturday?
I think at that point we knew it was win or go home. And Coach talked about how we're playing this as a championship game because if we want our season to continue, we knew we had to win on Saturday in order to get that 3 seed. So just even after the first half, like we knew we were down and we knew what we had to do to respond in the second half, and we were able to execute that on Saturday.
Was there added pressure knowing that it was win or go home on Saturday? Did you guys feel it was pressure, or did you not maybe go into it with that kind of a mindset?
I think we definitely felt it, but didn't try and go into it with that mindset because I think that would have affected how we played a little bit more with that added pressure on ourselves. We really focused on, hey, let's play basketball how we know how to play, let's take care of business, and let's go into tournament time.
I know MSOE had a little bit of a lead in that third quarter. You guys were able to eventually turn the tide and take control for the duration. I guess is there one or two areas that you point at and say, you know what, we did this down the stretch, and this is why we were able to, turn the tide?
I think that, well, one, we started hitting our shots in the
the
second half, which definitely helps. But also just locking in on defense. We knew what they were going to do, and we tried to limit those things. And I think overall, as a team, we executed how we needed to on Saturday.
Let's talk about the NAC tournament because it's a little bit different this year in which you have the divisional format on into the championship. And so Thursday, it's a NAC North Division semifinal with the Falcons as a number 3 seed at number 2 Edgewood, and then if you win that game, you move on to the divisional championship game on Saturday. If you win that game, it's the all-out tournament championship a week from Saturday. Take us into the matchup. You guys have seen Edgewood twice, and Edgewood has, uncharacteristically hit a number of threes inside the John Book Fieldhouse and came away with a couple of wins here on a few midweek games in the past. I guess, what do you expect? What needs to happen if the Falcons are to find that March Madness magic and pull off the upset?
I think we've definitely been talking in practice how we're going to adjust some things offensively and defensively, but I think it just comes down to us as a team and playing basketball how we know how to play. Edgewood knows us. We know Edgewood. We know what each other's going to do. We've seen each other twice. But hopefully we can just come out strong as a team, hopefully put 4 great quarters together, and come up with a win on Thursday.
And hopefully that cliche rings true. It's hard to beat a team 3 times in 1 year. Now, as mentioned, you are one of the 3 seniors on this team, and I know and I'm not asking you and not putting you in a spot here by any means, but I know for the senior class, they do have the option, the way things have played out this year, to potentially come back for one more year. What ultimately will go into that decision for you? Maybe you've made it already, and again, if it's public or not, I'm not asking, but what goes into that? When do you ultimately hope to, figure out what you want to do beyond this?
Right. I actually have decided, because the program I'm in at Concordia, I'm in the Accelerated Occupational Therapy program. So I'll finish my in-person classes in May, and then I'll have 6 months of field work, which I'm not sure where those are yet. But I will actually not be able to play next season because of that. So the decision was kind of made for me. Yeah, and I'm okay with that.
Okay. So I mean, was it tough at all, though, maybe at first, knowing that there might not be a season, knowing that this would be it?
It was definitely tough because, like you said, we didn't know what the season was going to hold. We didn't know if we were going to have a season at all, and I'm just thankful that we were able to have it and that it's gone the way that it has.
So let's wrap it all up. You mentioned your occupational therapy major. Ultimately, what do you hope to do with that major one day?
I am interested in working in either like a clinic or a hospital.
Okay.
I'm not sure exactly what population I want to work with. I'm thinking adults. But overall, just like make a difference in the lives of others, as cliche as that sounds, but just using my skill set and helping others through their everything.
Well, all the best to you, Hannah. Thanks a lot for your time, and best of luck on Thursday.
Thank you so much.
That's Hannah Betcher, the women's basketball team. Again, they will be in action on Thursday, a 7 o'clock tip-off from Madison against the Edgewood College Eagles, a NAC North Division semifinal, part of the 2021 NAC tournament. When we come back, we'll talk men's basketball as they get ready also to go to the Edge Dome, but on Wednesday for a NAC North Division semifinal. And Brandon Keller will be our guest as we continue after this here on Falcon Focus.
God never intended for us to live a comfortable life. He created us to go outside our comfort zones, to use our gifts and talents in the service of others, to live a you-first life in a me-first world. At Concordia University, it's our mission to prepare you for that path so that you stand apart from the crowd and live a life that's actually uncommon. Concordia University. Live uncommon.
Welcome back to this week's edition of Falcon Focus, a basketball edition, as the Madison March upon us in the NAC tournament is also upon us here this week, and the men's basketball team will be in action at Edgewood coming up on Wednesday, a NAC tournament North Division semifinal. We'll talk with junior Brandon Keller in just a moment, but first, got to make sure we disinfect the air so it's clean and we can breathe safely, and make sure the hand sanitizer, hands are clean and ready to go. We have the masks on. We are socially distanced as best we can, and let's talk men's basketball. So, Brandon, the Falcons come in, number 3 seed, which I think is a sign of hopefully good things to come because, as you probably recall, last year the Falcons, a number 3 seed, and brought home the NAC tournament championship. So they come into this tournament as the defending champs. I guess, what are your memories from that amazing tournament run last February into March?
I mean, last year being the 3 seed, it was awesome that we actually had the opportunity to play at home both, well, for the first game and then on the road for WLC and then back home for the championship. It was just awesome playing in front of, like, packed field house. I think there's like 2,500 people here. It was just amazing playing in front of them. That's my favorite memory.
That atmosphere was second to none, that championship game against MSOE. And if you remember that game, the Falcons were down by 10 with 8 minutes and 22 seconds left in regulation. Testing your memory a little bit, I guess in your opinion, from what you may recall, how did you guys get that game to overtime with momentum all on MSOE's side?
I think just defense. I know, like, the games leading up to that, like IIT and WLC, like locking in on defense for the last 6 minutes was just like our thing. Like, we held team scoreless or just a couple field goals all like the last 8 minutes, 6 minutes of games. So focusing in on defense, and then the offense came naturally with it.
And of course, the overtime win then against the Raiders, leading to a NCAA tournament appearance at UW-Platteville. First, though, describe the feeling for us of just climbing the ladder and cutting down the net. I mean, it doesn't matter what level it is. I mean, that's the stuff that, basketball players dream of.
I mean, I've never really been a part of that in high school or anything, so it was just awesome to do it. Like, I mean, my freshman year, we won conference regular season champs, but we didn't have the opportunity to cut the net, like, in the postseason. But, yeah, just it was awesome doing it in front of the fans. Good atmosphere. I've never been a part of something like that.
And a good atmosphere, too, at UW-Platteville for that first-round NCAA tournament game. A loud venue, and the Falcons certainly holding their own. You had 13 points, 7 rebounds, couple of blocks, 1 assist, and 1 steal. I'll use the term memorable again, but I guess how memorable or just how valuable of an experience was that for you, for this team, of getting to the NCAA tournament?
I mean, it was awesome too. I don't know, the last time we did it was probably like 4 years before that, right?
Mhm.
But yeah, it was just everybody was just so excited. It was again a great atmosphere. Everybody traveled well, all of our fans, and yeah, it was super fun.
So with that said, okay, great duration of the season, then COVID would hit and everything would be put on pause about a week later. But I guess during the off season, I'm guessing with the hope that there would be a basketball season this winter. Was there certain aspects of your game that you focused on, you worked on? What was kind of your off season
I mean,
mindset?
most of my thing, since I am a post player, like I just like try to hit the weight room super hard and try to get bigger and stronger like that. But I've shot more threes this year. I've not made more threes, but like I'm trying to develop my shot a little more. I think I'm a little better from the free throw line as well. So just developing the overall shot, because I think the post moves are kind of there, but the hustle plays are there too. But like developing my shot, I think is a little bigger, and I hope to do that this off season too, some more.
You bring up that post battle. What is that like inside? I mean, you're obviously against the bigs of the opponents.
Yeah.
It gets pretty physical down there, doesn't it?
Yeah, I mean it's challenging. I mean we got good bigs in our conference, and everybody provides a good battle, but you just got to pretty much hustle and work hard.
Now, in this COVID era, the men's basketball season, at least game-wise, didn't start until January 13th. I guess how has this season for you been different from years past? In what ways maybe has it felt normal, like a typical basketball season?
I mean, like the attention to detail and like really just like trying to stay motivated and focused from like October when we first started practice or whatever all the way on to January was kind of tough. But like, I mean, we think we did a good job as a team, like staying focused. And like once the game started, it just seems like normal from then on. Like now 2 games a week, now finally like a weekday game.
Mm-hmm.
Again, that's gonna feel normal again. But yeah, once the season like picked up, it was pretty natural again. But yeah, staying focused for the first couple months was more of a challenge than like years past. But I think we did a good job as a team doing it.
I asked Hannah during the first segment, I want to get your opinion too. Your thoughts on playing the same team back to back? Certainly that was unique to this season, and I think it's not going to be like that going forward, but I guess you never know. But what were the challenges of playing the same team, same venue, one day to the next?
I mean, if you look at any of our games, you see we split every
Yeah.
week up until this last week
Good
versus
call.
MSOE. So, I mean, I feel like we came out Friday games. I think we won most of our Friday games, and then like, oh no, maybe we were tired Saturday, but all of our games did come down to the wire, and it's just like you're kind of drained the second day, but you still want to fight through it. But that's why I think all of our games have been so close, just because it is like hard to separate from a team, knowing that, I mean, you scout them the whole week, so even if you do have an advantage, you have like a good say on what your opponent's going to do, and then also fantasies, yeah, if you're tired too, it's hard to get separation.
I obviously your role on this team being in the post, has it evolved? Has it changed in your time as a Falcon? What's expected of you?
I mean, yeah, I'm still our post player, but I do think my coaches expect me to like expand my game a little bit. I think this year I've been driving a lot more. Like I wouldn't call myself a back to the basket player. Like I think I do drive pretty well, and then yeah, trying to develop the shot so people guard me out top too to open the driving lanes more. And then I think rebounding this year too. I mean, last year I was pretty good at it, but I think that's like a big aspect of my game that even when I am struggling to score, like I can provide defense, blocks, rebounding, all the other stuff.
We have seen you at times in the past dunk here and there. I mean, this Falcon team can dunk, and man, when they do, this place goes nuts. For some of us that can only envision what it's like to dunk without a trampoline or a chair, what is that feeling? And how would you describe it when you're on a break and you have that ability to get up there and get above the rim?
I mean, that's my favorite part of the game. That's my favorite play. But yeah, especially at home, when you dunk, everybody goes crazy. That's like uncomparable to any other feeling in basketball to me, I think. Or a big block, I guess, is similar to that. But getting the crowd going is awesome.
You know, different ends of the spectrum. We had Hannah listed at 5'8", and now we have Brandon listed at 6'8". You go back in your basketball life. When did you first realize you could dunk? When did you first try it in a game?
I think I first dunked my freshman year. Not in a game, though. But in a game, I think my junior, like, summer league, I was dunking pretty consistently. And then
But is that scary in the sense that the first time you do it in a game, you're like, I don't want to embarrass myself, so I better get above the rim?
I think I actually missed my first. I had a fast break dunk, and then I think I missed my first fast break dunk. But after that summer league, I kind of got natural with it. Less pressure in the summer league. And then, yeah, senior year, I had a couple of dunks. But honestly, like, coming to college, I think my athleticism grew a lot. And I was, like, last year, even my freshman year, I kind of upped how many dunks I had a game. I think I got a lot more athletic
Sure.
as a player in general.
And maybe they all run together, but is there one dunk that maybe stands out, whether at any part of your basketball life among the rest?
Actually, kind of the one at Edgewood last time I dunked on their starting center. I ended up getting a technical afterwards, but
It was worth it, right?
Yeah.
Jeez.
I mean, dunking on a guy's always fun. I
Nothing
don't know. And then the MSOE one in the championship game last year,
Sure.
like in front of everybody. I think that was probably to tie it or like put us down 2 or whatever. So that was like a big moment play.
Nothing beats posterizing an opponent, but then again, has it ever been done to you? Have you been posterized by an opponent? If so, is that a helpless feeling?
No, I don't think so. Maybe my freshman year, this point guard for my IT, what you would expect he wouldn't dunk, kind of dunked on me, but I'm not going to count it.
I was going to say, if there's no video footage of it and we can't find the archives, did it ever happen? Now, this past weekend, what did happen is Jordan Johnson became the program's all-time leading scorer, doing so right from the get-go on Friday at MSOE. What's it like to play with a talent like Jordan Johnson who, for all his talent, he has one heck of a work ethic, and I mean, he's second to none when you look at his work rate.
I mean, Jordan's actually my roommate, so me and him like work out together, we shoot together. He does a good job at pushing us all. I think I also do a good job of pushing him, like weight room wise. Like I think we bounce ideas off each other, how to get better. But yeah, I mean, I knew Jordan. Everybody knew Jordan coming into this year. He'd get the record. I know coming back next year, he'll probably kill the record, probably get 2,000 points, probably be untouchable for the rest of the Falcon history. So I'm proud of him.
Absolutely. Fun to watch, and again, hopefully the best is still to come. It's already been great to this point. In your opinion, when you look at this past weekend, again, a sweep of MSOE, first sweep of the season in a conference series for Concordia, winning 81-57 on Friday and taking care of business 63-61 on Saturday. When you look at those two games, maybe two different stories, but what, how are you guys able to take care of business?
Yeah, I kind of think that relates back to like what I was saying earlier, like the second days are kind of fatigued, but like I would say the first game on Friday was our most complete game of the year by far, and like kind of shows how well our team can play if we do play to our potential. And it was great getting a lot of guys in, end up scoring. I don't know how many guys scored, but like I know Bilu and Hunter got in, scored. So that was awesome seeing those guys score. But then Saturday coming back, we knew like we weren't going to come in and just run over them again. Like they were coming out. MSU's a good team, good coach. And then so we had to focus up, and I think we were down for like honestly most of the game, but staying focused and getting it done in the end is what matters.
That seemed a lot like the game at MSOE last year when Coach Cassidy became the record holder for wins on the sideline for Concordia men's basketball. But, okay, heading into Wednesday now, you have the NAC Tournament North Division semifinal at Edgewood. The team has a record, the Falcons that is, with 7 wins and 4 losses. When you look at when this team has been successful, when you go back and kind of recap and summarize the season, when this team has been successful, what has happened? What do you point at and say, that's why we're winning games?
I think just like good ball movement, open shots, like trusting each other. Like at the end of games, instead of having tendencies to like shoot 4 shots, like people feel like they have to make the play. If we move the ball well, we're going to get the wins. Because like we're honestly 2 buzzer-beating threes away from being first in the conference. So
Sure.
Like we're right there. I mean, I know, and I still don't think we played to the best of our ability. So I am looking forward to what we can do in the postseason.
Which is scary because you could almost make the same case about last year's team, and it was almost a revenge tour with opportunities to knock down Illinois Tech, knock down Wisconsin Lutheran, and then beat MSOE for a third time. So, again, this could be a fun week, plus coming up for the men's basketball team. But Edgewood is the first opponent, and that's a team you guys split with during the course of the regular season. Back on February 5th, it was a 3-point loss at the Edge Dome, and then a 4-point win the very next day. What stands out about those games against Edgewood? What needs to happen in round 3 for I guess seed-wise would be a Falcon upset?
Yeah. Well, I think honestly, Edge is one of our best like overall match teams. Like as an opponent, I feel like they're good. They're well coached. They're disciplined. But I think coming into this, we got new like defensive schemes. Because their point guard Negus is a very good player, and their center, their backup center, Shrek, we call him. They call him. Is obviously a good player too. So we got a new defensive scheme, like how to stop those two as our main focus. And if we can stop them, we feel like we have a good chance at winning.
Again, it is the madness of March, and expect the unexpected this time of year. Growing up, I'm venturing to guess, as a basketball player, you got into March Madness and filling out the brackets and whatnot. Has that kind of been a theme for you? Is that something that you always kind of enjoyed around this time of year?
Yeah, I mean, I love college basketball, all levels of it. So, yeah, filling out the brackets, watching all the games. It's always fun.
Have you ever had great deal of success when you look at the bracket going back and be like, man, I was pretty good this year?
I don't really remember all that. I mean, I usually do go in like brackets for money, like just for friends. Like everybody pitches in $5, but I don't, probably never really won any of them. But still fun to be a part of.
Any upsets that you remember that you go, man, I can't believe I predicted that but got it right?
No, not really. The number 16 versus 1 seed, I predicted that one.
There you go. Again, if we don't
Virginia's
have the document of it, did it happen? Well, he said it did,
It happened.
so we got to take his word for it. But are you one of those guys all around this time that gets all the TVs out and all the computers and you have like the multiple games going on at once, or do you never really get into it like that?
I never, like, not to that extent, no. Just
Okay.
probably just put on one game, whatever's on the TV, and just watch it. But, I mean, I do follow it on my phone and stuff, though. But
Well, let me ask you this. Okay, so with the brackets to be released in less than a couple of weeks, is there one team that you would say, just looking at the D1 landscape, I mean, it's been an odd year to begin with, but is there one team that you kind of look at and go, hey, watch out for that school?
I mean, to be honest, ever since like I started playing college basketball, I kind of stopped following Division One as much. But I mean, I know Gonzaga's good this year,
Yep,
right? And
yep.
Coach Kane, one of our assistant coaches, big Baylor fan. I know they're pretty good. So I mean, maybe I'll root for Baylor for him or Wisconsin, just the hometown team.
For you in high school, at Plymouth High School, you played both football and basketball.
Yeah.
Was basketball always kind of number one? Was it depend on the season?
It kind of depends. Like I never played like summer basketball AAU because of like I did play baseball too going into my sophomore year, and then like
Okay.
football. Like I mean, they were kind of split evenly, but I always have loved basketball more than the rest of the sports. But yeah, since a young kid, I was in love with basketball.
So then why Concordia? How did you end up here on the Mech 1 campus?
I kind of really started getting recruited heavily. I think my junior to senior summer at a Viterbo camp. I was like the WBY exposure camp, and Coach Miller was actually like the first coach to reach me. So I mean, that's one thing. And he did like we had summer league games in West Bend, so him coming to like pretty much every single one of them, and Coach Cassie came to a lot of those. Coach Cooks at the time came to a lot of those. So the multitude of games they were at like didn't compare to any other coach. So that like really made me feel like they wanted me. And then on top of that, my mom also graduated from here, so kind of that too.
Absolutely, and I love the fact that you had a Dan the Man name drop, Dan Miller, one of the Falcon assistant coaches. Let me wrap it up by asking you about, your education side of things and a major, accounting. You also mentioned before we started taping that you're working toward your master's. So
Yes,
I guess
I am.
how are you going about juggling all that on top of playing basketball?
So yeah, I'm part of the Business Scholars Program, which allows me to get my bachelor's in accounting and my master's in management at the same time. But the coaches do a great job at scheduling around. I mean, our class times are like, if we need to miss a practice for a class, they're more than willing. But I do think I have a good work ethic. I come in early, could get my homework done, and then just by coming in and get it done early, gives me plenty of time to work out in the afternoon and practice.
I know you still have another year at least left here with the men's basketball team, but I guess looking big picture, at some point down the road when basketball does come to a close with those degrees, what are you hoping to ultimately do with them?
Hopefully after I graduate from here, I try to go for my CPA exam, which is a public accountant exam. And hopefully if I get that and through my like management or master's degree, I think maybe like hopefully can move up at a company and become CFO eventually one day. But I think by having the management degree can help me prosper a lot in the future.
Well, great stuff, Brandon. Appreciate your time, and best of luck this week at Edgewood.
Thanks so much. Appreciate it. Thank you for having me.
That's Brandon Keller. We thank Hannah Betcher as well for joining us during the first segment. Again, a reminder, at least for basketball this week, the Madness of March underway with the NAC tournament. The men's team will be at Edgewood for a NAC tournament North Division semifinal at 7 p.m., and then the women will be at Edgewood for that same NAC tournament North Division semifinal. Again, both those games Wednesday, Thursday at 7. Winners move on, and we'll play in the divisional championships on Saturday with the overall tournament championship between the two divisional winners a week from Saturday. So stay tuned to CWFalcons.com for that. So once again, for Brandon Keller, for Hannah Betcher, thanks to Sam Dunn behind the scenes. Thank you for joining us, and we'll join you again next week as long as it's safe to do so. You've been watching Falcon Focus.